Chosen ones, this message you are about to hear is divine revelation from the throne of heaven. If you are here today, know that it is not an accident. God Himself led you here. He has a word that will set your soul ablaze and restore every broken piece of your identity. Brace yourself. This is not just a message. This is your moment of divine awakening. There was a time when even you questioned yourself, your ability, your calling, your worth. Others looked at your past and counted you out. Even heaven knew the odds were against you. But then, something happened. You rose, you endured, you kept walking. You proved God wrong, not because He misjudged you, but because He watched you become more than what even your past declared over you. You became the exception, the living testimony, the proof that God's grace rewrites stories. The ones they dismissed, God is now displaying. The ones they overlooked, He is now anointing. And if this word is reaching you, it means you are one of them. You've gone from failure to fire, from pain to purpose, from breakdown to breakthrough, and now God is about to use you as a vessel of glory in ways you never imagined. But before we shout, we must learn. Before we dance, we must sit still, because this message is not just to inspire your emotions, it's to transform your mind. So pause, like this message if your spirit feels the fire of this truth. Subscribe if you know this is not just content, it's confirmation. And drop your city and time in the comments so we can witness where the rising of God's unlikely vessels is happening across the world. To those giving through the link pinned in comment section or super thanks feature, heaven sees it. Your seed is not a gesture, it is a prophetic act, and the reward attached to your obedience is already on its way. Get ready. God is using what others thought He would never touch, and He's starting with you. Let's take it slowly, line upon line, precept upon precept, truth upon truth, until the very core of your soul burns with revelation. Let's begin with this strange, almost shocking phrase, "You proved God wrong." How can God be wrong? He is perfect, all-knowing, all-seeing, sovereign. So what does this mean? It doesn't mean God lacks knowledge. It doesn't mean He miscalculated. Instead, it means He allowed a moment of divine tension, where heaven watched in silence to see what choice you would make. Not because God was unsure, but because He delights in letting you discover the strength He placed inside you. Like a loving parent stepping back to see if the child will take that first step, He pulled His hand back, not in abandonment, but in confidence. And when you stood your ground, when you kept believing, when you fought through the voices and the battles and the weariness, you didn't just survive, you surprised even the angels. Let me explain it like I'm teaching a newborn child how to walk. There are moments in life when God allows pressure, not to break us, but to expose what He already planted within us. He doesn't test to punish, He tests to reveal. Like a sculptor who sees the masterpiece hidden in the marble, He chips away at the lies, the fears, the doubts. Every battle you faced, every tear you cried, every silent night you endured, it was part of the unveiling. And the beautiful part, you didn't crumble, you stood. And in doing so, you discovered what God already saw in you from the beginning. You found the warrior, the worshipper, the overcomer, the survivor inside you. When you didn't give up, when you kept moving even with the limp, when you praised even through pain, when you prayed even with no words left. That's when the heavens stood still. That's when God smiled and said, "Now they know." You didn't just prove people wrong. You didn't just rise above your enemies. You rose above your past. You silenced the whispers of shame and regret. You proved that you are more than your mistakes, stronger than your struggle, and deeper than your wounds. You proved that purpose can still rise out of pain. And now, beloved, you've entered a season of divine recognition. God is not just watching, He is ready to reward. He says, "I tested them, I refined them, and now I will release them." Because what you handled in secret, He will honor in public. What you battled in silence, He will use as a platform. The one who almost gave up is about to be lifted up. Why? Because you proved that your faith was not fake. You proved that your worship was not performance. You proved that your love for God wasn't based on blessings but on covenant, and in that moment you proved God right all along. Let's take this deeper and simpler. Have you ever seen a potter at work? They begin with nothing more than a lump of clay, unformed, unimpressive and messy. It doesn't resemble the masterpiece it's meant to be, but the potter doesn't discard it. Instead, they press it, shape it and mold it, using water, pressure and time. What others might call ruined or useless, the potter calls potential. That's how God looks at you. He's not intimidated by your brokenness or your mess. He sees the final form, even when you can't. Jeremiah 18 reminds us that when the vessel was marred in the potter's hand, he didn't throw it away. He made it again. And God is still in the business of remaking. So if you're reading this feeling unworthy, confused or too far gone, know this: you are exactly the kind of clay God uses. He's not waiting for perfection. He's looking for surrender. He's searching for hearts that say, "Lord, I don't know how, but here I am." The cracks in your life aren't signs of failure. They're places where God's light will shine through. Every disappointment, every wilderness season, every moment you felt forgotten was part of the molding. And now, God is forming something that will reflect His glory. Something people will look at and say, "Only God could have done that." You didn't come into this journey qualified, but every valley qualified you. Every night you kept the faith when you could have walked away. Every tear trained you. Every loss deepened you. Every silent prayer you whispered in pain positioned you. That's why you're usable now. Not because of talent, appearance or background, but because of what's been forged in the fire of your spirit. You're not just a vessel, you're a testimony. And your story isn't over, it's just beginning. Let me walk you slowly through a powerful truth. There are moments in life when your name was never mentioned. Times when the phone didn't ring. Times when the help didn't come. When you felt like you were carrying more than your share and no one noticed. You gave, but no one gave back. You showed up, but no one remembered. But here's what you didn't see. While people forgot you, God never took His eyes off you. Psalm chapter 33 says, He looks down from heaven and observes all our deeds. That means your hidden sacrifices, your quiet surrender, your painful obedience, they were all seen. Not one moment went unnoticed. You see, in the silence, God was writing. In the shadows, heaven was recording. Malachi chapter 3 verse 16 reveals that for those who fear the Lord and speak about Him, a book of remembrance is written. Let that sink in. While people were busy forgetting, heaven was busy remembering. Every private act of worship, every offering no one clapped for, every yes to God when it cost you something, all of it has been written in His book, not for decoration, but for divine compensation. Because God does not forget the labor of love shown in His name. So don't be discouraged if the platform didn't call your name or the spotlight never turned your way. God's reward is not bound by human recognition. What you sowed in silence, He is about to reward in public. Every tear, every prayer, every quiet act of faith, it was never in vain. And now the Lord who remembers is about to release. You didn't go unseen. You went watched. You didn't go forgotten. You went recorded. And that's why your season of honor is near. Let's go even deeper into your past. You may have carried silent questions for years. Why did I go through so much pain? Why did I lose so much? Why did God allow the trauma, the betrayal, the abandonment? But hear this, God doesn't waste pain. He uses it to shape purpose. God trains his warriors in the wilderness, not the palace. Before he puts a crown on your head, he places a cross on your back. Why? Because true authority doesn't come from applause. It comes from anointing forged in affliction. Look at David. He wasn't crowned king the moment he was anointed. Instead, he went back to the sheep field. He faced lions and bears in silence. He wrote worship in isolation. He learned courage while nobody was watching. And then came Goliath. The battlefield didn't make David brave. It revealed what the wilderness had already formed. You see, private victories are what prepare you for public battles. What looked like a delay was actually development. What felt like abandonment was actually alignment. You thought you were buried, but heaven was planting you deep, so you could grow strong. Your story was never a detour. It was divine training. The heartbreak, the rejection, the confusion, all of it became chisels in the hands of God. He wasn't punishing you, he was preparing you. And now, when you speak, you don't speak from theory. You speak from fire-tested authority. You don't just carry words, you carry weight, because God trusted you with the kind of pain that produces purpose. And now, it's your time to rise, not in pride, but in power. The wilderness trained you, the silence matured you, and now the world is about to hear what heaven already knows. You were chosen for this. Some of you don't even realize the power of your own consistency. While others were celebrated for what looked impressive, you were showing up in the unseen places, praying when no one clapped, giving when it hurt, standing when it would have been easier to sit down. You weren't chasing attention, you were chasing God. And while the world looked elsewhere, heaven kept its eyes on you. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart." That means your quiet faithfulness wasn't forgotten. It was recorded. You kept showing up for your family, for your calling, for your faith. Even when it felt like nothing was changing, you stayed planted. You showed up for your children when no one showed up for you. You lifted your hands in worship when your heart felt shattered. You walked into work with tears behind your eyes. You kept praying even when heaven seemed silent. And now God is declaring over you, it's reaping season. Not because you were loud, not because you were praised, but because you were faithful. And what you planted in secret is about to break forth in public. Let's slow this down even more. God doesn't wait for public permission before he performs his plan. He's not limited by your past or by people's opinions. In fact, he loves to flip expectations. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 27 to 29 reminds us that God chooses the weak, the overlooked and the broken, so that no flesh can boast in his presence. He raises the ones nobody counted. He anoints the ones everyone dismissed. Why? Because when he lifts them, there's no doubt who did it. It wasn't talent. It wasn't connections. It was the power of God. So don't be surprised when God chooses the most unlikely to carry the most glory. He'll use the former addict to break chains. He'll use the one with a record to set others free. He'll use the broken-hearted to heal nations. He'll use the one who stutters to speak with authority. Why? Because when people ask, how did they become that? The answer will be one word, God. You are his divine contradiction. You are living proof that grace doesn't just forgive, it transforms. You are not a mistake. You are a move of God in motion. Let's break this final section down gently. Everything you walked through, every hardship, every delay, every silent battle, was never meant to destroy you. It was a test of trust. God wasn't punishing you, he was proving you. He wanted to know, can I trust you with silence? Can I trust you with struggle? Can I trust you when the answer is not yet? Can I trust you to be faithful even when you're misunderstood, overlooked, or left behind? Because those who can be trusted with suffering are the very ones God can trust with glory. Romans chapter 8 verse 18 declares it boldly. The sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. You suffered silently. You kept walking even when it felt like you were crawling. You prayed when you had no words left. You didn't just survive, you passed the test. And now the season has shifted. The glory that was hidden inside you is about to be revealed around you. This is your unveiling. This is your moment of divine manifestation. What tried to kill you only confirmed you. What tried to break you only built you. You didn't die in the pain, you lived. And that life, that fire, that endurance is exactly what God is using now, not for your fame, but for His glory. Chosen one, hear this loud and clear. You are not here by accident. You are not crazy for holding on to faith in the middle of chaos. You are not weak for crying and still choosing to stand. You are not forgotten, even when it felt like no one saw your struggle. And you are certainly not finished. In fact, you are just beginning. Every detail of your journey, even the ones that broke you, brought you right here, to this exact moment. And in heaven's eyes, you passed the test, not because you were perfect, but because you stayed. You proved God right, not by being the strongest, but by refusing to quit. You defied every limitation that tried to define you. You silenced the voices that told you to give up. And now, the same God who allowed the crushing is about to release the oil. But this next season isn't about ego, it's about impact. God is going to use your story to set others free. He's going to shine through your cracks and heal others through your scars. Your testimony will become someone else's survival guide. You are not just chosen, you are trusted, not just called, but marked. Not just surviving, you are rising. And those who once mocked your journey, who doubted your calling, who expected your failure, they will now witness what only God could do. What they thought was your end was actually divine preparation. They thought the fire would destroy you, but it forged you. And now it's time. Your beginning starts here. Your unveiling is now. Heaven has cleared the stage, and God is about to show why He picked you.